Hi there, my name is Leslie Hawthorne and I'm a program manager with Google's Open Source Programs Office. Today you'll be hearing from several participants in Google's Highly Open Participation Contest, our first initiative to get pre-university students involved in open source development. Here at Google, we care deeply about the future of computer science, and we know that that starts with young people, which was why we were proud to bring together folks from all over the world to participate in the first GHOP contest. We had over 350 students come together to work on a variety of tasks for open source projects, including writing code, producing documentation, performing user experience research, as well as creating marketing materials. We hope that you're going to be just as excited by the material that you see today as we were excited to be able to help these students find great opportunities to participate in open source development. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the awards ceremony honoring the grand prize winners for the first ever Google Highly Open Participation Contest, Google's first initiative to get pre-university students involved in open source development.
A lot of people don't realize how important open source is to Google. Every time you use Google, you're using open source software. Google runs on Linux, and then it has our stack of software on top of that. And that stack of software is built using literally millions of lines of code that comes from outside the company, mixed with the millions of lines of code that we write here inside the company.
I'm Jonathan from Los Altos Hills, California. I'm here because I was one of the 10 grand prize winners in the Google Highly Open Participation Contest. I was doing work for the Plone project. I completed a total of 6 tasks. The best part for me was really learning new technologies, because I hadn't really worked a huge amount with Plone before. I'd worked with other CMSs. I'd even worked on helping build a different CMS for my own personal use, so it was a really good experience to start learning Plone because it was more mainstream and more people had used it, so I was able to learn skills that would help me later on since more companies use Plone.
So open source is not just something that we're affectionate towards or that we like. It's really important to us. And so the work in our group concentrates on not just saying thank you, but also trying to have a role in the future of open source software by creating new developers like yourselves.
Well, for me, I think that the best part was that it was my very first involvement into the open source, and I had an opportunity to communicate with real people, and I had clear tasks that I can solve, and it was very exciting that the people that I could they helped me, and they corrected my mistakes. They showed me the way how to do things, and the communication part that was the most exciting for me.
Helping you become open source developers is very, very important to us, because one of the other things that we noticed is that open source wasn't growing very fast. It wasn't growing as fast as it was growing in importance to companies like Google, and indeed to the fairness of the internet.
I'm Jaroslav Tworek. I come from Poland. I took participation in the Google Highly Open Participation Program. I took part in it, participated in some tasks concerning programming, tasks on the documentation of programs, the test coverage. It was a very great fun for me to do that, to work with real programmers and send patches to the open source programs. We had 1,100 tasks, and the tasks were sort of bite-sized chunks of programming, documentation improvement, website improvement across, 10 projects. So, and these projects ranged from CMSs to Apache to you name it, right? So, of those 400 students that did those 1,100 projects, we have the 10 best that were picked by their mentors to come here to meet people like you, and to bask in the glow of doing well.
The best part was the contributing with the people of the open source, of the selected actually Joomla project.
I'd like to introduce Alan Eustace. Alan Eustace is our super amazing executive senior VP of everything. Alan is, in a lot of ways, in a thankless role. People don't know Alan so much as they know the people who work for Alan, and they don't understand how much he works and how important he is to Google. So I'll let him introduce himself from here out, though. Alan Eustace, everybody.
So this is great fun for me. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for participating in the program. It's nice to look across the faces and see the future of Google through your eyes. I see right now there's not as many people going into computer science as I think really should be, given the importance of what we're doing, given the impact we can have on the world and on people and on information and how things tie together. And so the reason I really like this program is because it's a chance for us to kind of seed the next generation of people that are in computer science and to introduce them to what I think is one of the most important parts of computer science, which is the open source community. I mean, open source is interesting in a sense because if you look back before open source, if you remember what happened before open source, which is hard to do. I mean, you have to be old like me. But when you get there, you can remember the time between open source. And what would happen is that there were a few companies with lots of people, programmers who would sit in dark rooms and program. And the common wisdom was that no individual could ever make a difference. Companies could make differences, but individuals could never make a difference. You couldn't build something interesting, if you were a student or a kid or anything like that. Only interesting things were built by companies. It took 5 years. You aren't really that good enough or qualified to actually contribute to these kind of efforts. And I mean, it was pervasive in the industry back then. And open source changed that because a few people, like sometimes 2 or 3 people would build something that was actually better, faster, more reliable, and they would build it that was better than what you could buy for, tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And companies really got scared, oh my gosh, if 3 people in a garage can build something that exciting, what do they need me for? And so I think companies at the beginning took a really hands-off attitude toward open source. But what ended up coming out of this was, those 3 people working together. First, the thing that was interesting is they decided to share. Nobody had ever shared anything before, really, I remember the first program I shared, which is a very long time ago. It was, I sent it, it was back in the, Usenet days, but if you had to send a message, you had to actually put every host name, but in a long string. So if I want to get something to Stanford, it would take like 12, hops that I had to actually do myself. Although there's a program to tell you what the routing is. So the idea of routing at the time was you'd say, I want to go to Stanford, from this school, and it would tell you what route to do. You should go UCB, bang, DECVAX, bang, this other thing. And so that was the way you routed. But anyway, so I sent a program out to people that I'd written, and it did something really stupid. It took the spell checker in Unix, and then it applied that to your document and allowed you to go through one at a time and incorporate changes. And what was interesting when I sent that program out, because it was useful to me, all these other people started making changes to it, which had some, good news and bad news. Some of the changes were good, some of them were bad. All the bad ones were basically people aimed at me. How could you write such a horrible program when it really wasn't me? It was somebody else that introduced that bug. But that sharing actually created a lot of knowledge. I learned a lot from that experience. And so I think that's the other thing that open source has done. And now open source is the way that I think, the vast majority of the internet runs on open source. The vast majority of companies that are building new companies run on open source software. It's no longer a little niche over on the side. That's the way things get done right now. And I think for me, it means that people like you can have an impact. Your code can be run by millions of people. You make a change, and there are tens of thousands of other programmers who either will notice the change or will notice what has happened because of your change. And I think that's the really powerful thing. And that's why I'm a big supporter of the open source. So with that, I think I get to hand out the awards, don't I?
For the Apache Software Foundation from the United States, Spencer Davis. For the Drupal project from the United Kingdom, Peter Colley. For the GNOME project from the United States, Patrick Hewlin. For the Joomla project from Poland, Tomasz Dobrzyński. For the Moin Moin Project from South Africa, Federico Lorenzi. For the Mono Project from Russia, Daniel Abramov. For the Moodle Project from Thailand, Wurapat Bunyaritpong. For the Plone Project from our very own backyard here in the San Francisco Bay Area, Mr. Jonathan Wild. For the Python Software Foundation from Poland, Jarek Tworek. And for the Silver Stripe Project, also from Poland, Wojtek Skutnik. Gentlemen, please stand up, turn around, and take a bow.
So this is from all the projects to Leslie. Thank you for an awesome job.
Thank you, guys. If we could ask all of our mentors to please stand up and take a bow as well. It would not have been possible for us to do any of this without you. Thank you. And thank you all for coming.
I'd probably say the best part was when I started. My Python knowledge was definitely shaky, and as the contest went on, definitely with help from Alexander and the other mentors, I learned that different style guides and much better, just how do you write Python much better.
I think it was wonderful that I could come here and just see all other competitors and see how great it is at Google. I was really impressed by the contest.
My favorite part was probably doing more of the working with people and getting to meet different mentors and dealing with that, and also doing a presentation at my school to present information about the foundation and just more the dealing with people kind of stuff.
I just want to thank you guys for running the contest and thank all the GNOME people for really doing a good job getting tasks and making it a really good experience for all the students.